The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Shout out to my guy, Ty Strowman. You ain't shit, Ty Stro. So I'm minding my business, counting down until it's time for this stream to start. I vowed to be on time in my mind, right? And I got nothing stopping me. I already set the stream up. I got everything set up. All I got to do is turn the camera on and hit start stream. That's all I got to do. Everything set up. And then Ty Stro sends me the damn best of mic'd up that the team must have just dropped either today or yesterday, whenever. It's like 35 minutes or so. And my dumb ass, and I looked at the time, I said, I mean, I already seen this shit before, right? It's just, they just chopped it up and just mashed it together. I mean, I can watch it for 10 minutes. What's 10 minutes gonna hurt? I got 16 minutes until the stream starts. You know what my dumb ass did? I watched the shit for 20 minutes and I looked up and it was like 8:04. I was like, oh shit. No, you got me, Ty Stro. I'm in here watching this shit like I ain't never seen it before. Laughing my ass off all over again. Good times. Good times. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the order of business tonight. So I apologize because this stream wasn't supposed to happen. I was supposed to do this portion of this conversation, this segment rather, on the stream we did Wednesday night. It's actually a part of the title, but we got so caught up in the conversation that we were having about the underrated free agents that we never got to the Jayden Daniels effect. So I said, you know what? I'll just make it its own stream and we'll talk about it as a separate entity. So here we are. Okay. So before we get to the Jayden Daniels effect, let's first jump into some odds, right? We're on Cooper Kupp watch. We're on Myles Garrett watch. And, you know, really nobody else in particular right now, because nothing else is really hot other than Debo. But Debo's not going anywhere in terms of his odds. We're going to be the team that's going to stay at the top of those odds to land Debo Samuel because of our connection with Adam Peters and all of that good stuff. So that we don't have to keep looking at that. But the Cooper Kupp thing is very interesting. Myles Garrett, very interesting. And so we'll talk about that. But before we do any of that, let's go inside the odds. Brought to you by BetUS.
Inside the odds.
This stream is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Looking for new books? BetUS has you covered. Fastest payouts in the industry. Get up to 10% back on your net losses twice a year as long as you've been active within the last 6 months. And here's the kicker. If you haven't used BetUS before, I've got a deal for you. Use the promo code YouTube150 to get you 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 and 125% sign-up bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150. So let's look at a few odds. All of these were brought to you by BetUS, pulled straight off of their site. And we've talked about a couple of these guys. We really haven't talked about Trey Smith, but I don't think there's any way he ends up here in Washington. But somebody had mentioned him to me. Hey, what do you think about Trey Smith? I think we should go after him. And I'm like, nah, I don't think they're going to spend that kind of money on guard. You got to cut corners somewhere, right? And the place that they decided to cut corners at right now is the offensive line. But, eventually you're going to have to invest in that offensive line, which is what we want to do this offseason. But they got away with Brandon Coleman at left tackle last year as a third-round pick. I don't know if you can get away with that again this year. We'll see. Maybe he gets better. Maybe, right? Nick Allegretti, I don't have any issues with him, but can you upgrade Nick Allegretti? You damn right you can, right? but I got no issues with Nick Allegretti, right? Biotis, perfectly fine, did a great job last year. We know Cosme, when he comes back healthy, does a great job. And then Andrew Wiley definitely needs an upgrade over there. So Trey Smith is a guard, one of the better ones in the league. Chiefs aren't going to franchise tag him. So that was a conversation. Khalil Mack, let's start there. Let's at the very top, Khalil Mack team for week 1. As you can see, we're not listed. And a lot of Commanders fans are like, hey, we should sign Khalil Mack. And not saying that this is, indicative of what's ultimately going to happen, but there's a reason we're not on that list, is because we're not one of the teams that's favored or rumored to be in on Khalil Mack. Doesn't mean he doesn't end up here in Washington, but probably unlikely is what this says, right? But you see who is up there, though? The Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't think he ends up in Philadelphia either. But do they really need any more help on that side of the ball? No, they don't. But I could easily see him going to Green Bay. I don't think he's going to end up back with the Chargers. The Green Bay seems like a really good fit for him. We'll see where he ends up. Tampa also kind of strikes me as a place where he could end up. Detroit is looking for someone opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. So it wouldn't shock me if he ended up there as well. But clearly we're not on that list. So don't know if I'm 100% buying that we're not in the Khalil Mack market, but that, list of teams says that we're not. So we'll see. Trey Smith, I don't think we're in the Trey Smith market. And I think that is indicative of these odds. And I do think that is the case. He could end up back in Kansas City. I think that's most likely at this point. Chicago Bears, that's where the favorite is for Trey Smith. It makes a lot of sense. They got to protect Caleb Williams. They've got some cap space to do so. And I think Trey Smith is going to get broken off. And I don't think the Chiefs are interested in going up there where that price can potentially get to. And I think the Bears are definitely willing to do that to protect Caleb Williams. So we'll see what happens there. And then there's the matter of Joey Bosa. I talked about this, I think it was yesterday. My guy Derek B, shout out to my guy Derek B. He had asked me, you think Joey Bosa's washed? And I said, yeah, he's cooked, bro. He's cooked. Can't stay healthy. I'm not a big proponent of Joey Bosa ending up here in Washington. I just don't think there's any value in him at this juncture of his career. If he stays healthy, maybe, but I'm good on Joey Bosa, seriously, right? But we are on this in these odds here. As you can see, we're at plus 700. So there are a number of teams ahead of us. I don't think he ends up here, first and foremost. Again, if he does end up leaving the Chargers, which it almost feels like a done deal that he's gone. He will not be back with the Chargers. Lions, again, anybody that's an edge rusher, the Lions are going to be in the mix because they're chasing a chip, right? 49ers, they probably would love to team him up with his brother and feel like maybe if we put him on the same team with his brother, we'll get the best out of him. That may be the case. Maybe that will reinvigorate him. Maybe it'll rejuvenate him. I don't know. That actually would be pretty interesting to see if he went there, if he and his brother could wreak havoc together. But that's pretty interesting, actually, when you think about it. But Eagles are in the mix again. Buffalo, they're another team that anytime you hear about a pass rusher, they're going to be in the mix. So something to keep in mind, right? And then there we are down at plus 700, down the list a bit. I'm good on Joey Bosa. I swear I am. I swear I don't want any parts of Joey Bosa. Not even 1%. Am I like, if they start, no, I don't want Joey Bosa at all. I'm good. I'm like, seriously, I'm good. All right. So we'll come back. I've got more odds to share with you later on in the show, but let's get to the order of business that I wanted to discuss And that is the Jayden Daniels effect. So I don't know if you guys have seen that the Chargers are going to be hosting, which means it's a home game for the Chargers in week 1 over in Brazil. Remember last year, the Eagles and the Packers played a game over in Brazil, and it was on a Friday. So we got football on Thursday, then we got football on Friday, and the league is doing it again. We know the Eagles will be playing on Thursday to kick off the season. We don't know their opponent. And now we know the Chargers will be playing on Friday over in Brazil, and we don't know their opponent. But much like the Eagles, the Chargers are the home team, and we're a road team on their schedule. So it got me to thinking about the Jayden Daniels effect. And I'm trying to get you guys in the frame of mind of what is about to happen, because most of you have never experienced what's coming next. Okay. We're going to be in demand in 2025. Okay. And I keep telling you this, and you're like, yeah, I hear you, Louie T. I hear you, but I don't think you're actually hearing me. Okay. Because a lot of you want it until you don't want it. Okay. But you've been stuck in, and we all have been stuck in this hamster wheel of 1 o'clock games, and we've gotten accustomed to that. You've built your Sundays around Washington playing at 1 o'clock, game being over by 4:15, and then if you want to go on about the rest of your day, you're free to do so, right? Those days are over. Now, here's the good thing about the Jayden Daniels effect and us being a good team again, is that a lot of these games aren't going to be played on Sunday itself, right? If it is, it's Sunday night. You're going to get Sunday night. You're going to get Monday night. You're going to get Thursday night. You're going to get Saturday. You know, there could be a Friday or two in there, right? Understand that the days of the 1 o'clock game, the 1 o'clock kick, they're not done. We'll have 5 or 6 of those this season, but that's a far cry. If you recall in 2023, excuse me, I think that was the Sam Howell season, 2023. We had, I think it was one non-1 o'clock game. One. Like, all of our games were played at 1 o'clock. We had a Thanksgiving game against Dallas and a Thursday game against the Bears. That was it. All the rest of our games, so we had 2 non-1 o'clock games on Sunday. All the rest of our games, all other 15 games were at 1 o'clock. And except for when we played on the West Coast, I think we played the Rams and the Seahawks. Those were the 2 games out on the West Coast that year, and those were at 4:25, 4:05. All the rest of our games, 1 o'clock. That is done. I think the Jayden Daniels effect starts on March 10th when free agency hits, because you're going to see players wanting to come here to play with Jayden Daniels. He took the league by storm last season. However, I'm here, and I think I made a declaration already today. So let's just declare February 24th guarantee day for me, your man Louie T. Because I got another guarantee for you as we sit here on February 21st. I guarantee you, you can take this to the bank. Put money on this. And you can thank me later. I guarantee the Washington Commanders do not play on 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, week 1. I guarantee that we will not be playing a 1 o'clock game in week 1 of this season on a Sunday. whether it's Philadelphia, and I still don't think it's going to be Philly Thursday night football to kick off the season. I'm telling you, it feels like we're going to Brazil to play the Chargers. I'm telling you, it feels like it. But even if it's not the Chargers, week 1 over in Brazil, and I wouldn't be opposed to it, because at some point we're going to got, and they're going to send us across some body of water. We haven't gone to play overseas since 2016 when we played Cincinnati over in London. They're going to pop us at some point, okay? The bill is going to come due at some point, and we're going to have to travel over across some body of water to play a football game. This feels like it. But even if it's not Philadelphia on Thursday, even if it's not the Chargers on Friday, it's either going to be Sunday night, it's either going to be Monday night, or it's going to be 4:25 on Sunday afternoon. And it's feeling really like a primetime game to kick off the season for the Commanders and Jayden Daniels. I will be shocked if we're not playing in a primetime window, week 1 of the 2025 regular season. I will be shocked if we're not in some primetime window because of Jayden Daniels. Just the fact that we're good. Remember, we're an East Coast team, and we're one of those teams that the NFL likes to have being good, because we're in a market that when we're good, it's good for the league, right? However, this is all about Jayden Daniels. There are other teams in the league with good young quarterbacks, but Jayden Daniels is the best among them, right? Of the fresh crop, the last 2 years. It's Jayden Daniels. Telling you right now, week 1, I guarantee, and I'm telling you guys, it feels like we're going to Brazil. It feels like we're going to Brazil. But even if we don't, I guarantee you we're not playing. I'm giving away some money if we play at 1 o'clock on Sunday, week 1. I'm giving somebody some money because I don't see it happening. I'm that confident. I'm giving something away. Some merch, some money, something. If we play at 1 o'clock on week 1, I'm giving something away to somebody. That's how confident I am that we won't be playing at 1 o'clock in week 1. That's the Jayden Daniels effect. And I'll also say this right now, and I feel pretty confident saying this. We're going to get 6 primetime games. Now, you're only allowed 5, technically. 5. But they're going to throw us on in some window that's not technically prime time, like Thanksgiving. If you're playing Dallas, it's not technically prime time. That's prime time to me. That's prime time to you. Like, yeah, I get it. It's not 7, 8, 9 o'clock. I get it. Don't care. We're the only show in town. That's prime time to me. All right. So I can tell you right now, no less than 5 games. My guess right now is 2 Mondays, 2 Sundays, a Thursday, obviously, and then some weird ass, Black Friday, or the Brazil game would count. Obviously, that's a Friday game, or a late season Saturday game, something of that effect. I can all but assure you, when that schedule comes out, there's 2 Mondays with our name on it. There's 2 Sundays with our name on it. There's a Thursday with our name on it. And then at the end of the season, we might be one of, 5 games that have TBD, right? To be determined, like we did last year with the Atlanta game when they flexed that into Sunday night, right? We're going to probably have one of those just in their pocket, just in case. And I wouldn't be shocked if there's another Thanksgiving against Dallas, Black Friday against Kansas City, or some bullshit like that. Because Kansas City, I think, has been on Christmas each of the last 2 years. So we could be on Christmas this year against Kansas City. They seem to love to throw the Chiefs on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, which I want no parts of. The Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers, Texans played 3 games in 11 days. All 4 of those teams played 3 games in 11 days. I want no parts of that shit. None. But when you have one of them ones, you know why the Texans were in that game last year? Because of CJ Stroud. Our guy was CJ Stroud on steroids. So what do you think is going to happen? We saw CJ Stroud on a Saturday. We saw CJ Stroud on Christmas. What do you think is going to happen to us? CJ Stroud had 2 Sunday night games, one against the Bears and one against the Lions. What do you think is going to happen? He was on Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. That's 3 games on primetime right there that I can think off the top of the dome. He was on Thursday Night Football against the Jets. That's 4 primetime games for CJ Stroud last year. Plus the Saturday game, which they don't count as primetime. F that. That's 5. Plus Christmas. That's another primetime game. 6 for CJ Stroud. What you think going to happen for us? And our guy went to the championship game. All CJ Stroud did was win 1 playoff game. Our guy won 2, both on the road. What do you think is going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. We're going to be everywhere. That's what's going to happen. And I think it starts week 1. Someone says, I need Detroit versus Commanders on Thanksgiving. Can't happen. Detroit plays at home on Thanksgiving, and Detroit comes to us this year. So that can't happen. Can't play Detroit on Thanksgiving. Lions, Cowboys always will be at home on Thanksgiving, as tradition suggests. So the Lions come to us, so that can't happen. But again, we could go to Dallas on Thanksgiving, which I want no parts of. You know how I feel about that damn Thanksgiving game. First of all, can we get Philadelphia, Dallas on Thanksgiving? They never play each other on Thanksgiving. It's always the Giants and the Cowboys or the Commanders and the Cowboys. When's the last time you can remember the Eagles playing Dallas on Thanksgiving? I can't tell you the last time those 2 teams locked horns on Thanksgiving. It's been a while. But the Giants have played them twice in the last 4 or 5 years, and we've played them like 4 times in the last 8 years. Feels like they played the Bills 1 year, they played the Raiders 1 year, and it feels like all the rest of them were either the Giants or the Commanders. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I'm just trying to prepare you guys mentally for what's to come. Jayden Daniels is the it quarterback of 2025. We'll see if he lives up to the hype. We'll see if he lives up to the hype. Obviously, it's funny because people are, love to say CJ Stroud had a step back season and he still won the division. I get it. It's a bad division. Still, he still had to win enough games to win the division. And then they won a playoff game, right? So, yeah, I get it. But he still got his team back to the same spot that they were in the year prior. But obviously it didn't look as impressive, and they had, circumstances that, definitely hampered them. A ton of injuries, especially to their skill positions players. But nonetheless, I've already said it's going to be hard for Jayden to one-up what he just did. But as long as he takes care of his business, it's all that matters. As he goes, we go. And if he plays well, this team will play well. So I don't know if I can prepare you any more for what's to come, but it starts on March 10th when free agency hits. We'll see the impact, I think, right away, because I think you're going to see guys wanting to come here. And again, it won't just be because of Jayden Daniels, but it's a huge factor. You're a damn fool if you don't think players talk. And one of the, determining factors for guys is who's the quarterback, because everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. And if you don't think who is your quarterback makes a difference as to where a free agent wants to sign. I remember Reggie White, it was one of the first big free agents to switch teams when free agency first became a thing. And he talked about God told him to go to Green Bay. Yeah. God did tell him to go to Green Bay because that's where the money was. And oh, by the way, that's where Brett Favre was. A lot of y'all don't know that Reggie White was this close to coming to Washington. Back when we still had respect on our name. Bill Parcells was this close to coming to Washington once Joe Gibbs left. First time. Back when we had respect on our name. Well, that shit's back. And a large part of the reason why it's back is because of 5. And a lot of free agents are going to be looking at Washington as a viable destination now when they didn't even give Washington a thought once upon a time. That shit's changed. And you're going to see a lot of guys like, yo, if all things are equal or we're just close in the neighborhood, yeah, get the Washington deal done. Get that done. You think Myles Garrett would be coming here if we had Sam Howell at quarterback? Probably not. No, not probably. No, he wouldn't want to come here. You know why he wants to come here? Why he's open to the idea of playing in Washington? Because of our quarterback. You think he'd be leaving Cleveland right now if Jayden Daniels was the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns? No. He wouldn't be. But it's not just Jayden, obviously. If they just had competent play at the quarterback position, he wouldn't be looking to get out of there. But I just want to prepare you guys so you can't say you weren't warned. Because I know I was talking to a fan last year, and he was like, man, I like my 1 o'clock games, man. I don't know how I feel about all of this change. And I'm like, you better get used to this shit, buddy. You better get used to this because this is our new existence. This is our new life with 5 at quarterback. We're just getting started. We are just getting started. You saw the Jayden Daniels effect in the postseason. They put us on night games both times. Both times. They could have put anybody in those slots. Anybody. And I told you before those games happened, I said, we're going to be playing at night or in the afternoon. We won't be the first game. And I said, if it's Tampa, it probably won't be a night game. But I said it'll be a Sunday afternoon game if it's Tampa because of Jayden Daniels. Because they could have easily put us on at Sunday at 1. That's the worst. After Saturday, 4:30, which is always going to be AFC South. I already explained that to you because that's the worst draw of the postseason. So they're always going to put on their worst game, which is always going to be the AFC South, no matter who the opponent is. Doesn't matter. If that game has Patrick Mahomes in it, they're putting the AFC South game on first. Well, the next worst slot is 1 o'clock on Sunday. And I said, we're not playing at 4:30, obviously, on Saturday, and we're not playing at 1 o'clock on Sunday. So it's either going to be 4:25 on Sunday afternoon, or it's going to be 8 o'clock on Saturday night. And I thought because of Tampa, it was going to be 4:30 Sunday afternoon. And they said, nah, it's Jayden Daniels, bro. We got to put y'all on at 8 o'clock at night so everybody can see. Next week, Detroit. Hey, this kid's electric. We got to put him on 8 o'clock again so everybody can see. That's what's going to happen this year too. And I wish I could tell you that I'm thrilled about it. I'm happy for the attention. But I'm also like, with that attention, with that comes strain, right? Because now you're getting the quick turnaround because you played on Sunday night or you played on Monday night. Or now you got, again, I don't want it, but this is what comes with the territory. Chiefs had to play 3-11. Steelers had to play 3-11. Ravens had to play 3-11. Texas had to play 3-11. That shit comes with the territory. You want to be one of the faces of the league? This is the shit that comes with it. That's where I think our guy's heading. I think he's going to become the Patrick Mahomes of the NFC. That's what I see. There isn't another guy on that side of the bracket. That space is vacant. There's nobody at the top of the NFC mountain. Eagles fans want to convince you it's Jalen Hurts, but it's not. Think about this. When you think about the Philadelphia Eagles, and anytime they put up a marquee, anytime they put up a banner promoting a game, it mostly will be Jalen Hurts, more likely than not. But you know what else? It could easily be Saquon Barkley. It could easily be Saquon Barkley. If they put up 5 faces, it should be Jalen Hurts' face in the middle with a bunch of other faces surrounding him. But I've seen flyers where it's Saquon Barkley's face, biggest day in the middle, and Hurts' face is off to the side. Think about the Philadelphia Eagles and think about, their team, and that's what they are, a team. When you show up to watch the Philadelphia Eagles, are you showing up to watch Jalen Hurts? Are you showing up to watch Stray Jacket Hurts? Is it Stray Jacket you watching, or are you showing up to watch the Eagles? Or are you showing up to watch Saquon Barkley? Nobody says, man, I can't wait to sit down and watch Stray Jacket Hurts. Nobody's saying that. But I know a lot of people saying, let me go see what Jayden Daniels is about to do. It's levels to this shit. Our guy, there's a throne. I feel like as a fan of a team that had a player that the NBA was trying to put on that pedestal. The NBA was trying to put Ja Morant as the next face of the league. They were trying to give him that mantle and that title, and he blew it. I don't got to worry about that with Jayden Daniels. He's as humble as they come, and when that opportunity presents itself, he's going to jump at that chance to become the face of the NFL on the NFC side of the bracket. He's one more big season away from that taking place. And in my mind, and maybe I'm delusional, I'm probably, they call me delusional, right? Eagles fans do. And maybe for this reason right here, I'm delusional. And I'm fine with that because I'm an optimist. You guys know that. But I'm looking at it from the standpoint of Mahomes. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, what did Mahomes do in his first year as a starter? Went to the AFC Championship game and he lost to Brady. What did he do in his second year as a starter? He won the Super Bowl. In my mind, I'm saying Jayden went to the NFC Championship game as the first year of being a starter. And what does he do in his second year? That's when everybody knew, because everybody was looking for Mahomes to take the step back that next year. Like, okay, he burst onto the scene. That shit is crazy, but he can't follow that up with an even better season, right? Conventional wisdom says he's got to take a step back. And no, he said, no, I'm going to go win the whole goddamn thing is what I'm about to go do. That's what I see for Jayden. Big difference. They already had weapons around Patrick Mahomes. They already had Kelsey. They already had Tyreek Hill. I think they went and got Sammy Watkins the next offseason, if I'm not mistaken. They were loaded. They had Kareem Hunt. So, and I think, I forgot the guy that almost won Super Bowl MVP that year. He was really good too at the running back position. So they had talent, man. They had tons and tons of talent around him. Defense wasn't worth a damn, but they could outpoint anybody. And that's what I see for Jayden. In my mind, at least. We'll see what ultimately happens. But one thing's for sure. Your life as a fan, this is going to be one of the most unique seasons. Most of you, not all of you, because some of you have been fans long enough to know what it's like to be in the spotlight. You know, some of you know what it's like to be the poster and model franchise, because that's what we were. Once upon a time, I know this is hard for some of y'all to fathom, but once upon a time, we were the New England Patriots. The dynasty New England Patriots. That was us. You know? So we'll see what happens. But boy, it's feeling like it's all gonna line up. But the lights are gonna be bright. The stage is gonna be big. I know he's not gonna flinch, but we're gonna be on the stage quite a bit. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Anyway, let's go back to the odds once again. We'll get to the comments and then we'll get out of here. I wasn't looking to hold you guys hostage on a Friday night. Let's go inside the odds once again. Brought to you by BetUS.
Inside the odds.
All right, so once again, this stream is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Make sure that you're betting responsibly. Don't bet more than you can afford to lose, and do not chase your losses. It is a very, very bad practice and can get you into a deeper, darker hole. All right? So with that said, let's get to some more odds brought to you by BetUS. And so let's talk about Myles Garrett. So remember when we looked at this the first time? The Commanders were like third behind the Cowboys, which didn't make any sense. And I think it was an AFC team. Maybe it was the Chiefs or somebody like that. And I was like, they're not going to trade him to Kansas City, bro. He's not staying in the conference. They trade him, it's going to be to the NFC. And then I said, Dallas isn't giving up what it's going to take, and they don't want to pay him. There's no way they're going to trade for Myles Garrett. I was like, I don't know how we're not first. Well, we're first now. Look at the odds. Commanders are at plus 300 to acquire Myles Garrett if he is not a Cleveland Brown. I think that's the right number. I think we should be the odds-on favorite to acquire him should he become available. Again, I think there are other teams that might have more attractive packages that may be able to pry him away from us. But again, Myles Garrett holds the cards from this standpoint. If the Browns ultimately come to a realization that he doesn't want to be here and we're not looking to hold anybody hostage, we got to move on from this guy. Everyone's going to have a package ready. Everyone's going to make the phone call. And I think a team like Chicago, for instance, let's see where they are up here. They're at plus 2,500. So obviously Vegas doesn't think that they're major players in this thing. But if they wanted to be, they've got the draft capital for it, if I'm not mistaken. And if you look at the teams on this list, let's just run through with the teams that are the closest. Anybody with single-digit odds in terms of plus 800 or 600 or 400, etc. So the Eagles are at plus 800. They have the 32nd pick in the draft, so they're behind us. I mean, it's not that far. And they probably got more picks than we do in the draft. They always have more picks than we do because Howie is a wheeler and dealer, and he's always picking up more picks for future drafts, trading back. acquiring picks for the next year's draft. So they're in a really good spot. I don't know what that number looks like this year, but I would imagine they're probably sitting on 10 picks in this year's draft, 9 picks. We've only got 7, right? The 49ers have a much better pick than we do. They're probably sitting middle of the pack is my guess, somewhere in that 14, 15, 16 range, right? If I had to guess, could be as high as 13. I don't think they're any higher than that. Raiders are at plus 900. They have a top 10 pick, do the Raiders, right? So if they wanted to do something, I don't think that's, first of all, he's not going to Vegas. Okay, that's not a Super Bowl destination. So I don't even know why they would be that high from an odds standpoint. Chiefs plus 600. Obviously, he'd love to go to Kansas City. And he probably thinks he would make the world of difference there. And he would, especially if you put him next to Chris Jones. But if I'm the Browns, I don't care what the Chiefs are offering me. I'm not trading Myles Garrett to Kansas City. It's not doing that, right? But they would have, theoretically speaking, a similar package. I mean, what did they end up? They were in the Super Bowl, so they got the 31st pick in the draft, right? And you would think that they're going to remain in that range somewhere in the 20s, late 20s, early 30s, right? And then there's the Cowboys. They have a tremendous pick this year, top 10 pick. I think they are right at 10, somewhere in that neighborhood, because they actually had that strong finish to the season. Ended up 7-10. That's going to put you right in that 9, 10, 11 range at 7-9. So, or 7-10, excuse me. So they've got an excellent pick if they wanted to part ways with it, but they're not. And then there's us, and we're willing to part ways with the 29th pick and whatever else it takes to get him. So we've moved up in the world in the Myles Garrett standings. We were second or third the last time we looked at this. Now we're first, and that's why I think we'll stay until there's resolution to that situation. I myself still think he is going nowhere. Okay, and I've been on record as saying that I don't think they're going to trade him, but stranger things have happened, and we've seen guys be adamant that they don't want to play for a team, and eventually, initially the team starts out by saying not trading him, and then eventually they get to a point where they say, all right, we got to move him. I don't see the Browns budging, though. It doesn't make a ton of sense from their, vantage point. And then I said this already, and I remain steadfast. We're on Cooper Kupp watch. Shout out to my guy, RVA Point of Views. He said, "Oh, Louie, you gave in, man. You caved in on me, bro." He's like, "I don't want Cooper Kupp, man." He was disappointed in me because I started out as saying I don't want Cooper Kupp, and it wasn't as much as I didn't want Cooper Kupp. He was the last choice of all of the options that were available that we were talking about: Deebo Samuel, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, T. Higgins. Of that group, he's the last guy, but I never said I don't want Cooper Kupp. I just don't want him as much as I want those other guys. So I had to make sure I was clear about that, because maybe the message that I was projecting was I don't want Cooper Kupp. I'm good on Cooper Kupp. That's what I remember saying. I'm good on Cooper Kupp. But we need a number 2 receiver. And don't for 1 second stick your nose up at Cooper Kupp and poo-poo Cooper Kupp. Again, we're going to draft a receiver this year. And Kupp isn't going to be here for a very long time. And that's why I said I'm open to Keenan Allen. I'm open to Cooper Kupp. These are guys that can help you this upcoming season, help groom that young receiver that you're going to draft along with Terry McLaurin. And then next year, those guys can get the hell out of here. That money comes off the books. And we hit the ground running, right? That's the hope. That's the hope. But I only brought this back up, right? We're back looking at Cooper Kupp's odds because look at us. Look at us. Hey, wait a minute. We're back in the game. Put me in, coach. We're ready to play today. Look at us. Plus 600. The last time we looked at these odds for Cooper Kupp, hell, this was what, 2 days ago? We were at plus 1,000. What changed? What changed in the last 48 hours that sent us from plus 1,000 going in the wrong direction. We were at plus 600. This is where we started when this thing first got underway, at plus 600. Then we looked at it again. We were at plus 900. Then the last time we looked at it, which was 2 days ago, we were at plus 1,000. And now magically, poof, we're back at plus 600. I read an article yesterday that said that the Commanders are very interested in trading for Kupp. And I wonder if that article, and it was from a very respectable publication, or else I wouldn't have brought it to your doorstep. I wonder if it's that kind of conversation, that particular article, that has us back up to plus 600 in BetUS's eyes. Because we were just at plus 1,000. We were heading in the wrong direction. And now all of a sudden, we've got the fourth best odds, or fourth best odds. Fifth, if you got two at 400, Broncos and the Bills are at plus 400. Got the Chargers still in the lead. And ultimately, I think when he gets traded, he's getting traded or released. I don't think the Rams are going to release him. They're going to trade him because they're going to give him away to somebody. All it's going to take is a late round pick. You don't have to give up, a third or a fourth round pick. You can get Kupp for a 6th round pick, which we don't have. But Chargers make the most sense because he's already out on the left coast. Stay there. They need wide receiver help. Then you got the Broncos and the Bills both at plus 400. Is it me? Do the Broncos need a receiver? I guess they could use another one, but it felt like they were fine at receiver. I know they traded Jerry Jeudy, but they still have Cortland Sutton and the Oklahoma receiver. He's really good. Yeah, they could use another receiver, but is it worth trading away a pick? I don't know, I guess. Buffalo definitely could use a Kupp without question. If they don't re-sign Amari Cooper, they're in on a guy like Kupp. It makes a ton of sense. And honestly, the Kupp thing is going to happen before free agency kicks off. I think someone's going to ultimately trade, just like the Deebo Samuel situation. These teams want resolution to these situations before the start of the new league year because you have to get your cap situation squared away, right? So that's why you're seeing, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but you're seeing this influx of players being released, right? We're seeing 2 and 3 guys getting released at a time from teams because they're getting their cap situation squared away because everybody has to be under the cap and in good financial standing heading into the new league year, which starts on March the 10th. So you're seeing teams get their affairs in order. And this is a part of getting your affairs in order if you're the Los Angeles Rams, getting that Kupp contract off the books. That's a part of getting your affairs in order if you're the San Francisco 49ers, getting that Deebo Samuel contract off the books. So I expect these deals to get done prior to the start of the new league year, which is March 10th. So you'll know if you have one of these guys going into free agency and whether you need to spend on a receiver or not. Steelers are at plus 500, and then there we are at plus 600, right back in the game. And again, there are other guys that I am way more fascinated with trading for, but those guys are going to cost a lot more. I think Adam Peters is so interested in a guy like Kupp because it doesn't cost you anything. You're giving up a 6th or 7th round pick for Kupp. You want this 5th round pick? Here you go. I know he doesn't want to give up his 5th round pick. I know he doesn't want to give it up. But you got 2 or 3 7th round picks. Matter of fact, let me find out how many picks we got. Enough of this guessing shit. I know we got 1, 2, and a 3. I think we got a 5. I feel like we got 3 7th round picks, but I only feel like we got 7 picks. So if we got 3 7th round picks, well, that would be 7, right? 1, 2, a 3, a 5, and 3 7s. That's what we have. Feel pretty confident about that. But let me just check now so I can stop guessing. But I'm pretty damn confident that is what we hold. Let's see. We have a first, a second, a third from Philadelphia, which was a Dolphins pick. A fifth from New Orleans, so that's another good positioned pick. And then 3 sevens, 2 from Philadelphia, and then our own 7th round pick. So I know the picks now. So you can slide the Rams 2 sevens and call it a day. They probably want the 5 more than 2 sevens. I don't think he wants to give up the 5. I think that's why he's interested in Cooper Kupp. Because to go get a DK, you got to give up a 2nd round pick. To go get a Garrett Wilson, you probably could give up a 2nd round pick. And while I think he should be interested in doing that, I don't know if he is interested in doing that. Cooper Kupp's not going to cost you a lot, and he's probably going to come off the books next year. So you get 1 year service, which is what I told you Adam Peters is into right now. He's into the 1 year, deal because you get what you need to get out of the player. And if he's really good, you can have him back again, just like Zach Ertz, just like Bobby Wagner, right? If he's not good, he's gone. That money comes off the books and you can use it elsewhere. So you don't tie yourself down while you're trying to build the roster up and draft young players that will end up being on this roster. Think about it from this perspective. You're going to draft anywhere from 7 every year. Adam Peters is going to draft anywhere from, let's say 6. Even though I think he's going to be a guy that always comes away with at least 7 players. Let's just say 6, just to be safe. 6 to 10 players every year he's going to come away with in the draft. So you have a roster. Let's say the roster already has 30 guys on it. Like core guys, 30 guys, right? That aren't going anywhere. Your Terry McLaurins, your, Deron Paynes, your Jonathan Allens, your Sam Cosmes, your Jeremy Reeves, the Quan Martins, the Brandon Coleman, all the guys that they drafted last year, right? Those guys aren't going anywhere, right? Those are core guys now, right? So as you're building that core, you're adding to it every year, 6 to 10 more guys that you brought, you drafted in the draft that are going to be added to the roster, right? Then the free agents that you sign, right? So this year last year we added guys like Tyler Biadasz became a part of the core. Frankie Louvu became a part of the core, right? Nick Allegretti became a part of the core. I think he signed a 2 or 3 year deal. Dorrance Armstrong became a part of the core, signed a 3 year deal, right? So those guys aren't going anywhere for the time being. Then you add in all the draft picks. They're going to do that again this year, right? But there are a bunch of guys that were here on 1 year deals. They're not coming back because we got to make space for the new free agents that we're going to sign and the new draft picks that are going to come in and become a part of the core moving forward, right? So while you're putting that together, you need those 1 year stopgap guys to help be like glue guys, right? The guys that hold it together for that year. That's what Jamison Crowder was this year. That's what Olamide Zaccheaus might have been. He may be back, right? That's what Jeremy McNichols was. Bunch of those guys existed on the roster this year. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as you get better, those guys don't exist. We're going to have more of those guys this year, though. Let me read, I want y'all to, because I'm telling you, there are a lot of fans that, because they keep hearing we got a lot of, cap space, and I think there's a lot of people that think we're going to go out here and sign they turned the clock back to the Dan Snyder era when he was going out and firing up Redskins 1 and going out and signing everybody and picking them up on the private jet. Let me see if I can find this comment. I want to read it to you. If I can track it down. Let's see. All right. See if I can find it. I know it's in here somewhere. Let me slow down and maybe I can track it down. All right. Let me just go all the way to the bottom and then work my way up. I know I'm going to run into it. All right, I think I went too far. Let's work our way up. I ain't gonna find it. This always happens to me. When I'm looking for something, I can't find it. And this was it was a great comment to really highlight how some fans think, right? They really are thinking like this. And I'm like, whew, some of y'all are gonna be extremely disappointed when this free agency process kicks off. I can't find it now. Of course I can't find it. Of course I can't find it. Of course I can't find it because I'm looking for it. Oh, man. All right. I'm a dog with a bone now, and I don't want to let it go because I know it's in here somewhere. Hey, I cannot believe it. It is you. And I can't find it. Maybe it's not this video. It's not that one either, though. Let's see if I can switch to a different video, and maybe it's under this one. No, it ain't under that one. I just can't find it. Anyway, I wish I could find that video. I mean, I wish I could find the comment. I'm about to look again. One more time. Let me look one more time. Let me look one more time. I'm gonna find this thing, man. Lord have mercy. And some of the stuff that he said wasn't bad, but it was just like it wasn't realistic. It was like, whoa, you really think that's about to take place? Like, wait a minute. Like, what do you really think this is, right? All right. That's not it. I'm gonna go through every one of these comments now because I'm stuck, and I'm determined to find it. And you know what? I might have. I know I didn't hit the button on it. I might have liked it, and so it's not showing up. I think I just looked at it. Shucks. All right, come on. You in here, man. Don't do this to me. You in here. Come on. Show up. And it should be a lot easier to find. So I know I did something with it. I know I did something with it. And I can't find it. Come on. Are there more comments? All right. I can't find it. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know how I am. I want to find it bad. But and that's not the only comment that I've, seen that's like that, where somebody's talking and it doesn't feel realistic. So just know that Cooper Kupp is definitely in play here. And he may ultimately end up being the guy that we get at the receiver position. And I'll be fine with that. Are there better options out there? Of course there are, but those options cost draft capital. And I think Chef P is going to try to do his best job of blending, being aggressive without mortgaging the future. Because when you start trading away picks and trading for veteran players in lieu of those draft picks, at some point you're going to pay for that. You may win a Super Bowl, but you may find yourself, because the goal is to draft good players and have to pay them, right? You want to be in the position that the Dallas Cowboys find themselves in all the time, it feels like, where they've got really good players and they got to figure out who they're going to pay and who they're not going to pay. That's where you want to be. You want to draft Michael Parsons, and you want to draft DeMarcus Lawrence, and you want to draft CeeDee Lamb, and you want to draft Trayvon Diggs, and you want to draft, Zach Martin, and you want to draft Travis Frederick and all the guys that they've had, over the years that have forced them to make tough decisions. Because if you draft good players like Osa Odigizua, you're not gonna be able to pay everybody. Somebody's got to walk, right? But you want to be in that position where you can't pay Tony Pollard. Maybe you could have paid Tony Pollard, but you chose not to. But you got to make that decision. But that's what happens when you draft well. That's where we want to be. And if you're out here trading away draft picks, that's how you get the cheap labor, is through the draft. You're trading that away to go get a guy who you're not only giving away a draft pick to get, who you wouldn't have had to pay that much money to. You're also going to have to pay that guy big money. Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, because you're not going to trade for that guy and then let him walk away in a year's time. You trade for him, you want him here for the next 3-4 years. Same thing with Myles Garrett. You trade for him, you're going to give him an extension because you're not going to let him walk away after you trade for him. So I think he wants to blend the two. Be aggressive while not giving up too much in order to do so. So anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section, then we'll get out of here. I've talked too much already. John Dewberry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, John Dewberry, writes, the more I think about it from a business point of view, it makes sense to start out with a playoff rematch versus Philly, probably in Philly, and then, of course, Detroit, Washington, Thanksgiving. So again, we can't play Detroit on Thanksgiving because Detroit is going to play at home. They always, just like Dallas always plays at home, Detroit always plays at home. And Detroit is a Washington home game. That is a home date for the Commanders this year. One of the few good ones we have. All of our good opponents feels like are on the road this year. The non-divisional ones, obviously, are on the road. The Chargers are on the road. The Chiefs are on the road. I think there's one more really good game that's on the road as well. I think we got the Bears at home, the Broncos at home, and the Lions are among the best games at home. But we're not going to be able to play Detroit on Thanksgiving. But the Philadelphia game week 1 is definitely within reason. And I wouldn't be shocked if they put us in that game. I've already told you Jayden Daniels is going to be front and center in one of these primetime games to kick off the season. I'm going to be absolutely shocked and floored if we're not playing on Thursday, Friday, Sunday night, Monday night, or at like, of all of the options, 4:25 on Sunday afternoon is the last option. It's an option nonetheless. It's still not 1 o'clock. But they want Jayden Daniels. I can't think of a hotter quarterback right now because the Eagles are starting the season off. So I can't think of a hotter quarterback right now, piping hot, that is in demand, that everybody wants to see. Because it's not like last year's draft where you had Caleb and he was the consensus number 1. And you had all these quarterbacks, Jayden Daniels and Drake May, and it was this illustrious draft class of quarterbacks where people were like kind of anxious to see him. Nobody's, oh my God, got to see Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Nobody's saying that. There's no buzz around those guys. It's still about last year's draft class. It's still about Caleb. It's still about Jayden. It's still about Drake May. It's still about Bo Nix. I think a lot of people are anxious to see what Michael Penix Jr. is going to look like after the little taste we got at the end of the season last year. And then J.J. McCarthy is going to enter into the fray now, too. So it's still all about the 2024 draft class of quarterbacks. JLG, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. JLG, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, what are your thoughts on the depth on the O-line? Personally, I think we were too one-dimensional without Biadasz. Yeah, it might not be high on most people's list, but center is a priority. I don't think they're going to prioritize center. I don't. But here's what I do think they may do. They may spend a little bit more on backup center because we went super cheap last year with Michael Dieter. Like, just get a guy. We spent enough. In their mind, they were like, we just gave a 3-year, $30 million contract or whatever it was to Tyler Biadasz. Like, we're not looking to spend any more money on center. So just go get a cheap guy. Michael Dieter will do. Let's bring him into the mix. And clearly, like you said, when Biadasz was out, we felt the sting of that. We felt the impact of him not being in the lineup. I wouldn't be shocked if they invested a draft pick, 5th round, one of their 7th round picks, in a developmental guard center prospect, guy that they could, develop and put on the practice squad, may even make the roster, because at some point they're going to move on from Chris Paul, right? At some point they're going to start getting their own guys in here. Like, at some point, I wouldn't be shocked if they cut Percy Butler this year, right? If they are able, because we talked about the safety position. I didn't even bring up Tyler Owens when I talked about the safety position. I brought up all these different guys, and I left out Tyler Owens, and somebody in the comment section was like, yo, Tyler Owens, bro. And I'm like, shit, my bad. Somebody might have to go. That somebody might be Percival Butler. Obviously, you see they clean the house on a lot of these dudes. I still think there's a roster spot with Percy's name on it just because of his special teams prowess. But, if it comes down to one of their guys or one of those or one of those guys, they're going to keep their guy. So we've already seen it with Fedarian Mathis, with Jamin Davis, with Jahan Dotson. They don't give a shit about them. DQ did a great job of saying, they're all our players, right? There's no those guys and our guys. They're all commanders. Yeah, but we know the truth, right? I could see that. I don't think they're going to invest resources via free agency. If they do, it's going to be another Michael Dieter type backup. However, I could see them investing a 7th round pick in a center, a true center, or a center guard prospect. But the perfect round to have done that would have been the 5th. The perfect round is the 5th round or the 4th round, which we don't have a 4th round pick. So I just think the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks that we have are too valuable and are going to be spent on premium positions like receiver, tackle, edge rusher, corner, running back. I think, and running back's not even a premium position. It's really more so the other positions: tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver, corner. Those are premium positions. That's, of those 4 positions, you probably are going to get your first 3 picks in the draft out of those 4 positions right there: tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver, and corner, right? That's my guess. Could be wrong about that. And running back could weasel its way into that conversation as well. And I wouldn't be upset about it. But that 5th round pick could be a center, could be a guard. I think it's more likely to happen in the 7th round, though, would be my guess. William Rogers Jr. been a member for 31 months. William, he says, Dolphins have a home game in Madrid, another option. My wife told me that when we had the conversation about the Brazil game and the Chargers. I looked at her and I said, uh-oh, you know what that means. She said, don't forget about the Dolphins playing in Madrid. I'm like, shit, that's another time, another option for us. Take us over to Spain or some bullshit. I really don't want that one, right? I don't even know when that game's taking place. We know when the Chargers game in Brazil is taking place. Week 1, get this shit out of the way and be done with it, right? Like, if you're going to travel week 1, I know it's not ideal to travel, but if there's ever a week to do it, it's the first week of the season, right? You're not coming off of a game the week previous. You get the game out of the way. It's Friday. You play it. You come back home and you get back into a normal routine and you can just go about your business, right? You playing in Madrid with the Dolphins, you're probably going to have a bye week the following week. whenever that game takes place. So, that's another option though, William. You're absolutely spot on. And again, we're getting one of these. I feel like we're getting one of these hoes. One of these international games, Madrid, Brazil. Now that we got a guy that they're trying to market to other teams around, market to other countries, like they want him to be a face of this league, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. Christopher McLaughlin, my guy, C-Mac, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the generosity as always and the unwavering support. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Chris, writes, hey, Lou, what's up? Chris, hope all is well with you and the family. Likewise. 2 questions. What games do you expect in prime time? Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Broncos, Packers, Cowboys? That's a great question. And why? And then 2, who are your top 5 MVP finalists? Burrow, Allen, Daniels, Jackson, Barkley, and why? So the odds have come out. We've already looked at those. Barkley, I don't think is going to be in the conversation next year. I don't think he can replicate what he just did this year. That was a magical season. Teams will be absolutely stacking the box, and they're going to force Straight Jacket to beat them next year. And if Barkley can do what he did this year again, then hats off to him. And he stayed healthy, something he really hasn't been able to do. I mean, I don't think he had any real injuries. He had a nick here, a nick there. Who doesn't? But he was pretty much healthy for the most part this season. I don't know if he can do that again either. We'll see. But I don't see him rushing for 2,000 yards again, is what I'm saying. So I don't think he didn't win it, when he rushed for 2,000 yards. That's the MVP. Who are we kidding? It's a quarterback award. And the NFL is in great hands with the quarterbacks they have. There was this one little moment in time where you weren't sure who, the veterans of the game were going to pass that torch to, when you could see Manning and Brady and Breeze and Roethlisberger getting old, right? And Rodgers was getting up there too. And then you said, well, they're going to pass it to Russ, but Russ was getting old too. And I'm like, And there was this little gap in time. And then Mahomes stepped in and I was like, okay, there's one. And then Burrow stepped in not too long thereafter. And then Jackson showed up and started to really announce himself in 2019. And then I said, okay, they're in good hands. And now you see guys like Daniels coming on, and the list goes on and on. The NFL, obviously CJ Stroud and, all of these young quarterbacks. The league is in really good hands at the quarterback position. So Burrow, Allen, Daniels, Jackson, all of those guys, Mahomes, those guys are going to be in the MVP, race. And I think those are going to be your finalists right there, those 5, when it's all said and done. But again, you got to play well. Your team's got to win games, more importantly. Because you could play really well. We saw that with Burrow. Burrow was the MVP of the season last year, if not for his team going, 9-8. Think they go 9-8? I think they went 9-8. So, yeah, got to win games. You can play your ass off. Doesn't matter if your team's not good. What games do you expect in prime time? That is a great question. We're playing the Eagles once in prime time. I assure you that. Whether it's the week 1 game or it's our game at home against them, we're playing them in prime time. So that's one. You can go ahead and bank that one. Cowboys is another one. I think that I wouldn't be shocked if we got them on Thanksgiving. I want no parts of Thanksgiving, but I wouldn't be shocked if we have them in Thanksgiving this year. So that's 2. The Chiefs game feels inevitable, but that could also be a CBS 425 game, because again, all the good games can't be on prime time, right? Like, you think Fox and CBS don't want good games too? Of course they do. So all of these can't end up on a national broadcast. Some of these have to end up on CBS or Fox. So that Chiefs game, while it feels juicy, while it feels like Christmas Day, right, at Kansas City, while it feels like Sunday Night Football, Kansas City, week 6, week 13, I I think it's going to be Sunday night. Who am I kidding? That's but Mahomes, Daniels, yeah, right. That's must see TV. That's Sunday night football. What am I saying? I think the Lions are going to be on Fox. I think that's a 4:25 game on Fox. Broncos are a 4:25 game on CBS, I believe. That could easily be a 1 o'clock game on CBS as well. Packers, that's a low key, easy one that you could throw on a Thursday, right? I could see us they like to do the divisional games on Thursdays, which make a ton of sense. So I could see one of our games against the Eagles, we had the Eagles on Thursday night last year. I could see the Cowboys game. Usually when we play the Cowboys on Thursdays, it's Thanksgiving. So I don't think we would play the Packers that's a Monday night game. Packers, right? Packers Commanders, that's a Monday night game. I don't think that's a Sunday night game. That's a Monday night game. I think last year they did the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, against the number 2 overall pick, the hot guy in CJ Stroud. That was a Sunday night game, Texans Bears, early in the season. I'm thinking there may be something like that. I'm just trying to think. It would have to be Shador or Cam Ward. If Shador somehow ends up in Vegas, I could see them making that a Monday or a Sunday night game, similar to what they did with CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams. The only difference is Caleb Williams was the number 1 pick and people wanted to see Caleb Williams. That's why you do that. I don't think there's going to be enough, fanfare around Cam Ward or Shador Sanders to make that a primetime game. So I take that back. Eagles will be 1. Cowboys will be another. Chiefs will be 1. That's 3. I could see Packers being a Monday night game. 4. And then Chargers, we talked about that. Chargers could be 1 over in Brazil. The Dolphins could be 1 over in Madrid. It's going to be one of those type of games, possibly. We play Atlanta again. I think they want to see that game again with Michael Penix Jr. I just don't know if they're going to make that a primetime game. You know what I mean? But again, we're going to have 5 or 6 of them. So I can tell you this right now. Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, you can book it. You can book it. Those are all primetimers. I wouldn't be shocked if the Chargers are 1. That's Justin Herbert. That's because, again, they love star power. But again, just like when we played the Ravens last year, they could have made that a primetime game. But CBS was like, yo, we need some of this action too, bro. Right? When we played the Bears last year, they could have made that a primetime game. But CBS, once again, it was Tony Romo and Jim Nantz on the call. Just like the Ravens game, it was Tony Romo and Jim Nantz. They want some of the action too, right? You're not taking all the good games. We need some of them shits too. That's why that Chiefs game could easily be CBS, but that feels like Sunday night football. So I gave you 3. I gave you 3 that are in primetime for sure, and they'll fill in the gaps with the other ones. I don't think the Lions game will be. I don't think the Broncos game is going to be. I could see the Packers being a Monday night game. I don't think that's a Sunday night contest. We play the Packers at home or on the road. You remember where the Packers game is? Do we play the Packers at home or on the road? You remember? You don't remember? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I mean, if we're going to Green Bay, I think it's a Monday night game. If it's a home game, I think, because I know the last time we played Green Bay, we played them at home, because that was the game where Taylor Heineke came in, and that was his first start of that season. And that was right after that Bears game where Carson Wentz broke his finger. And he was horrible in the first half, and then he lit him up in the second half, and we beat him with Aaron Rodgers. That was the last time we played the Packers, and that was at home. So it feels like we should probably be going to Lambeau. And if we're going to Lambeau, that feels like a Monday night game. Feels like a Monday night game. So I'll give you those 4. Ed B, thank you for being a member for 41 months. Salute to you, Ed B. I agree. Yeah, so wife just confirmed we're at Green Bay. That feels like a Monday night game. Figured we were on the road there because we played them at home the last time, which means absolutely nothing because you could play a team 2-3 times in a row at home before you go on the road against that team. But it felt like we were going back to Green Bay. That feels like a Monday night game. He says, I agree. Wide receiver 2 is a must. Big name incoming. It feels like, to me, more so than a RB1, wide receiver 2 is you got to have it. I've already expressed to you why, but I expect him to do something at running back too. So, but you got to have wide receiver 2. It opens up the entire field for everyone, for Terry, for the tight ends, for the running game. Because again, and this is my biggest point, if you don't have that back, if you don't have that other receiver, what's stopping them from doing what they've been doing, which is bring an extra defender down in the box, roll that other safety to Terry's side, and just dare. Like, how many times did Jayden take shots down the field one-on-one to Noah Brown, and he's getting blanketed? Who's afraid of Noah Brown on the deep ball? We'll give you that shit all day. Keep throwing it. Now, he did draw some pass interference penalties, but nobody's afraid of Noah Brown, and that's why you can do that and get away with it with no penalty. Nobody's afraid of. That's why I said we actually gained an advantage when Dyami Brown got in there because he can run by somebody. Noah Brown couldn't. And so what's stopping a team from saying, all right, we'll bring the extra defender down in the box, roll safety over to Terry's side, and I don't care you got a dynamic back. We just put another guy in the box. Good luck stopping, good luck running against this heavy box. And you can't take advantage of it by going to Terry. So if you got that other receiver and they got to respect you on both sides, go ahead and Jayden did a great job of when they tried to bring that extra defender down and he got one-on-one, right? But he had to manipulate because they had middle of the field closed. So he had to manipulate the safety, stare at this side, knowing all the time I'm going this way, or stare this way, knowing the entire time I'm going this way, right? But again, if it's just Terry, you can stare the other way all you want. I'm going to make sure that 17 isn't getting over the top. So I think you need a wide receiver too. We'll see what they decide to do. You can do both. You can do both. That's allowed, right? You can get both. JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, John Perez, writes, Lou, good to see you as always. Likewise, JP, always great to hear from you, my guy. I think we're honestly going to get Kupp. First round pick needs to be defense. Also, people are being way too harsh on Lattimore. Again, I'm not even wasting my breath on the Lattimore discussion. I've already spoken on that way too much as is. So I'm gonna leave that conversation where I already left it in the trash. It's the dumb conversation that doesn't need to be rehashed. But as far as Kupp is concerned, I could see him here in Washington. Again, I think he's more likely to end up with the Chargers. That feels like a Los Angeles Chargers type move. But there's a reason why we went all the way back up from plus 1,000 to plus 600. I'm just telling you, we're sniffing around. We're not out of it. The first round pick, I'm not going to pigeonhole it to be one thing or the other. Like it has to be defense. It just needs to be the best player available. We're literally in best player available territory. Like if it's a tackle, take the tackle. If it's a tight end, take the tight end. That's how you get good, is you don't pass up on talent because you don't need it. You just take the best player available and you figure it out. Again, unless you already have 2 bookend tackles and your quarterback, you don't need to take a tackle if you have 2 of them and you have a quarterback, a starting quarterback. You don't do that in the first round, right? But outside of those 2 positions, you can never have enough corners. You can never have enough edge rushers. You can never have enough defensive linemen. You can never have enough running backs. Like that's why the Dolphins keep drafting them, right? Hey, get another one. They already had speed. They already had guys. Devin Achane, come on down. Like shit, did you need another one? No, they did not. But they took one anyway, right? They were fine at running back. But 49ers, every year they take another running back. Feels like. They had Elijah Mitchell. They had Christian McCaffrey, and they still took Mason. And he ended up playing Jordan Mason. And he played a lot, and he played well. Just get the most talented player, man. If that happens to be a defensive player, cool. We need it. If it happens to be an offensive player, cool. We need it. If it's a receiver, cool. Take him. If it's a running back, cool. Take him. Right? Christopher McLaughlin, my guys. C-Mac, double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, C-Mac, writes, hey, Lou, what's up, Chris? 2 questions, 1 and 2. What are reasonable expectations for our defense to jump numerically if we get a cornerback 2 and another edge? And what do you expect Joe Witt Jr. to be able to do differently strategy-wise, and why? They really, at their core, want to play man. That's what they did in Dallas. That's what he did in Green Bay when they won the Super Bowl back in 2010. That's what he wants to do. Joe Witt does. That's what Dan Quinn wants to do. If you could play man coverage, you can do a lot of shit in front of it, right? You can do a lot of shit if you could play man. That's why you see Brian Flores be so aggressive in Minnesota, because you can be aggressive if you can play man coverage behind it. You can force the quarterback to do a lot of shit he don't want to do if you can play man coverage. The key is you better be able to play man coverage. That's why Todd Bowles, when he's his most effective, he's sitting in the house because he got confidence his dudes on the back end going to take care of business. So you can be aggressive. But if you're getting cooked, you can't do that. And part of our problem was they wanted to be aggressive. And when they were aggressive, either we got beat, it didn't get there in enough time, and it was an easy pitch and catch. Case in point, we tried to come after Joe Burrow early in the Bengals game, first possession. We left. Now, Mikey was outside for the first time in week 3 in that game, and he made a rookie mistake. He played inside leverage against Jamar Chase and gave him the fade, which he had help to the inside. He should have been playing outside leverage, forcing him towards the help on the inside, and then that ball wouldn't have been able to be delivered where it was. He allowed Joe Burrow to throw that ball over the outside shoulder away from the safety help for the touchdown. But we tried to come with pressure, and he was playing off, and he still got beat, did Mikey say himself. And it was because of that, he started playing off against guys like A.J. Brown, and he was giving up all this cushion because he didn't want to get beat. And that's easy pitch and catch, though. If you bring in pressure, but you playing 10 yards off, guess what? A.J. Brown's going to do? Take one step, turn around, and Straight Jacket's going to throw him the football, which is what they did in the playoff game. And so we blitzed on that 4th and 5. And Saquon held, but we didn't get there. Marshawn was one-on-one, and he didn't win, right? A.J. Brown won. So, and a great throw by Straight Jacket, too. So, you got to be able to hold up on the back end. But if you can rush 4, this is really where it comes down to. Because you can get the second cornerback, and that's going to help you exponentially. But here's where it really, like, everybody wants to rush 4 and get pressure with just 4. If you can do that, that's what made Philadelphia so good, is they didn't have to blitz a ton. If you can get pressure with just 4 and drop 7 in the coverage, it makes it really murky for the quarterback. It makes it really tough. So if you get, I think the edge rusher, I'm always going to side with the edge rusher. Like, people always say, what comes first, the the corner or the edge rusher, the chicken or the egg complex. It's a conversation that still exists. The PFF guys will tell you it's the cornerback. Why? Because, and I get the argument, but why? Because you can't take a corner out of the game, right? You can't take a good corner. What a good corner can do is erase your best receiver. No matter where you line your receiver up, that corner can go with him. He wants to go in the slot, that corner can follow him. He wants to go out wide, that corner can follow him. He wants to go in motion, that corner can follow him. Darrelle Revis could erase a whole side of the field, or he could take away a whole receiver, right? But an edge rusher, you can chip him, you can double him, you can triple team him, right? You can cut him. There are ways that you can neutralize a special rusher and stop him from wrecking the game. Theoretically speaking, of course. We've seen guys beat double and triple teams. I've watched TJ Watt beat a triple team. I've watched TJ Watt. I've watched Aaron Donald. I've watched Myles Garrett split double teams and get to the quarterback and wreck a game still. But theoretically speaking, that's their mindset, is you can't take a great corner out of the game, and he can erase a great receiver. You can take a great edge rusher out of the mix. I'm always going to go with pressure on the quarterback. I'm always going to side with that. Because even if you double team a guy, that means somebody else has a chance to win. If you got a chip, that means one of your eligibles isn't getting out into the route as quickly as he would. If you got to keep him in the block, if that tight end has to stay in the double team with the tackle, then that means one of your eligibles is lost on the play. He's impacting the game still. I think we have yet to see Joe Witt. Like, I didn't think we really got exotic with our blitzes. Like, I don't think we saw a lot of nickel pressure. We didn't see a lot of safety pressure. I think there's a lot of shit we can do. Like, Chin had a sack in week 18 against Dallas. Like, you can see more of that. If you have better corners, you can do a little bit more. I felt like all we did was double A-gap blitz with Frankie and Bobby. One would drop, the other would blitz. Both of them would come, but generally speaking, that was the only way we generated pressure, with a blitz. And if they blocked it up well, then we didn't get there. I expect him to be a little bit more diverse. If you get a good corner and an edge rusher. John Perez, my guy JP, double up, thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I honestly don't agree that a rookie quarterback is going to take the Browns anywhere. They never get it right anyway. I would have just gone after a vet. And they still can. But this is the problem. They can't go after a vet, JP, because they're paying Deshaun Watson $8 gajillion. So you can't go out and go get a veteran that, for instance, a great fit for them would be Matthew Stafford. He'd do wonders for them. They can't afford Matthew Stafford. They're paying Deshaun Watson $8 gajillion. He's killing them. They have to take a rookie. That's the only guy they can afford to pay. They're stuck. But again, don't underestimate Kevin Stefanski, man. I watched this dude last year or 2 years ago, back in 2023, take Deshaun Watson for about 6-7 games. PJ Walker started for about 2-3 games. DTR started for about 2 games. And then Joe Flacco probably started the final 5 or 6 games of the season. And I watched him take that collection of quarterbacks to the playoffs and win like 10, 11 games. Don't underestimate Kevin Stefanski, man. Don't do it. A1 the Great. Been a member for 34 months. Who writes, Lou, what it do? Really appreciate you, A1 the Great. Let's appreciate for a sec that we have an organization in whom we can trust. Let's just have a brief moment of silence for that. Cheers. He says, trust. That's a real word we can use. That word was absent from our vocabulary when talking about this organization for a very long time. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Trust. Welcome back. So glad to see you. We missed you. John Perez, my guy. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I think we're getting a Black Friday game. We're getting one of these games that's like off in the boonies. We're getting one of these games that we don't want no parts of, whether it's Brazil, Madrid, Black Friday, Christmas. We getting some shit we don't want. Brace yourselves. It's happening. Thanksgiving, one of them shits. Maybe multiple of them. Mr. Ron B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mr. Ron B, OG, triple OG, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the way the JD5 effect has on the quality of defensive players who'd want to come here. That's huge. Again, it's not just receivers wanting to catch balls, passes from Jayden Daniels. It's defensive dudes who are like, I've seen this work before. I've listened to players, on various podcasts talk about why they made the decision they made to go here or there, because guys want to play with those quarterbacks. They know if, like, part of the aura that comes with Jayden Daniels, it's not just that he's good. There are a lot of good quarterbacks. LB kept saying, what makes him different? What makes him different? Because he can throw and run. You know what makes him different? It's that aura of invincibility late in ball games. That's the shit that takes you to another level. That's the shit where guys start paying attention like, damn, with the game on the line, I don't think we finna lose. And other teams feel that. The opposition feels that too. Like, we can't let this shit be close. Because if Mahomes gets it late, we know what it is, right? It's just certain dudes. If Burrow gets this shit late, man, we know what it is. It's certain dudes where you like, hey, we can't let them have this shit late, bro. We may not get it back. Jayden is becoming one of those dudes. And, I mean, how many close games did we win last year? How many games did we pull out in that type of fashion? From the Atlanta game to the the second Philadelphia game, to the first Giants game, to the Cincinnati game, to obviously the Bears game. Like, we had so many of those games last season where we ended up on the right end of them because of Jayden Daniels. The Bucks game in the postseason. That's why guys want to come here. Now, I don't expect this to be super aggressive in free agency other than the cornerback position. On defense, that is. Like, I don't see us being aggressive at linebacker on defense. I don't see us I'm talking about in free agency, that is. Same with defensive tackle. Edge rusher, I can see us trying to sign a defensive end, but there's not a lot out there. I think they're really going to try to attack that via the draft, but they still got to add another guy, right? Cleveland Farrell's not coming back. He ain't coming back. So you still got to do something over there. But I just think you're going to see a lot of guys wanting to come. Like, think about Houston. You really think Danielle Hunter would have chose Houston before there was CJ Stroud? You really think he would have gone there? You really think Joe Mixon would have been happy to be traded to Houston before CJ Stroud got there? You think Stephon Diggs wanted to go to Houston if there was no CJ Stroud? Yeah, right. Like, that's the effect, right? That's the effect of Jayden Daniels here in Washington, without question. Silver Fox, thank you for being a member for 36 months. Salute to Silver Fox 52, who writes, Lou, be blessed. Thanks for what you do. And wide receiver 2, then offensive tackle. So I could see them getting wide receiver 2 in free agency. That's my assumption. I told y'all the first big move that's going to be made from a financial standpoint is going to be investing in a corner, because those are available in free agency. And I expect them to be aggressive in attacking that day one of free agency. They're going to go get their corner. I think it's going to be Mooney Ward, but I told you, don't sleep on Mike Jackson. Don't sleep on Mike Jack in Carolina. He smells, he feels, he looks like a Dan Quinn, Joe Witt Jr. type of corner. And you're not going to have to pay as much for him as you are Mooney Ward, and he's younger. A lot more tread left on those tires. I can see them investing in him over Mooney Ward, but it feels like we're going to get Mooney Ward, right? One of those corners is coming to DC. If you don't get Cooper Kupp via trade prior, or Deebo Samuel, because those feel like the two guys that you would trade for. I don't see us trading for DK or Garrett Wilson, because Deebo and or Cooper Kupp aren't going to cost you, a day 2 pick. Those are day 3 guys. You give up a 5th, a 6th, a 7th round pick for those type guys. So I think that's more in our wheelhouse. So again, I want a true number 2. That's why Deebo doesn't appeal to me, because he's not a real number 2 receiver. He's a Swiss Army knife, and you can do a lot of things with him, but I want a real guy outside. So, but there are other options if you don't trade for any of those guys. There's still other options available as veterans on the market. But we'll see what they decide to do. Tackle is going to be interesting, because we don't know. This is the thing. We don't know what they're going to do with Brandon Coleman. They may just leave him at left tackle. They may have walked away pleased with what he gave them, and to say to themselves, another year without the shoulder injury, without the nagging injuries, the knee, the shoulder, a full offseason, a full camp, which he didn't have last year, is going to benefit him, and he'll be better this year. And they may roll with him at left tackle. So we can't say what their thought process. We still need a tackle regardless, because you got to replace Andrew Wiley at some point. This is his last year of his deal. So you still need a tackle regardless. But it becomes a bit more dire if you don't believe Brandon Coleman is a left tackle. You have to do something. There are options in free agency, as I've already laid out. Alaric Jackson, Ronnie Stanley, Cam Robinson. There are options in free agency if you want to go that route. But this is not a great offensive tackle draft class. We're sitting there at 29, so you're probably going to get whatever's left. That shouldn't be like super appealing. It's a very similar spot to where we were last year, right? Remember, obviously we were going to take the quarterback at 2 overall. And then our next pick was almost at the top of the 2nd round, right? It's like 36 overall or something like that. And all the good tackles were gone. And it was guys like Suamataia and even Jordan Morgan, who we were trying to psych ourselves up to be like okay with. And I was like, I don't think Jordan Morgan is the answer at tackle, guys. And even Green Bay took him off the board in the 1st round. Like, there was nothing left at the tackle position. Then when we traded back, it made more sense. Then it became in play, if you recall, with Chris Paul's brother, and Suamataia became, and then Blake Fisher, who ended up going to the Texans. I think he went to the Texans like a pick or 2 after we took Ben Sinnott. We still didn't take the tackle. They didn't love what was there, and they valued Ben Sinnott more. So I don't see them reaching for a tackle if they don't love it. They proved that last year. They're not going to reach. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I say I'm not going to talk y'all to death. And here we are, almost 2 hours in, right? Typical me. Typical Louie T, right? Typical me. But anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you on the other side of the weekend. And you know what it is next week? Next week is the combine. So I'm preparing right now for the draft. I've popped the seal on the draft, and next week, that's what we're going to be really devoting much of our attention to, is the combine as we start to really prepare for the NFL offseason. Free agency comes first as I continue to drill into your heads, but the draft is big business, and free agency will come, it will go, and then immediately we will turn our attention straight to the draft. Like, there will be a diversion away from the draft for approximately 72 hours. That those 2 days of tampering that you get over the weekend, right? Saturday, Sunday. So you'll already know who's signing where on over the weekend. But it becomes official on Monday when guys start putting ink to paper on March the 10th, which is the official start of the new league year. And even the day after that, March 11th, there'll still be a bit of interest there. And then after that, 96-hour window, you're going to go right back to the draft. Okay, we know what we got already. Now let's start talking about the draft. Now we know who we signed in free agency. And remember, free agency, there's even a second wave of free agency the second week where, those pink and orange tag items are now out there. The league has spoken. Those guys weren't high priority. Now their markets cool off a bit. Now you can go out and get you a guy that, maybe you thought was going to cost you a little bit more. It doesn't cost you as much. Now you can go get him for a reasonable deal. So we'll see what transpires. But next week is all about the combine. It starts late, I think Thursday next week, all the way to, through the weekend. And then at that point, you're off and running draft-wise. And then the pro days start, and et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I digress. You guys have a good one. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I'll see you guys on the other side of the weekend. Quick reminder, this stream was brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Until next time, you guys take care. God bless. The Jayden Daniels effect is real. Are you ready? I am.